we are now in phase three, where it's Russia that is on the defensive. So
Mm.
it is not Russia that's looking to win in Ukraine. They're looking to avoid losing.
On the latest from Ukraine, because we have heard that there has been this renewed advance, I suppose, instead of resistance from Ukrainian forces.
Oh, absolutely, Anna. At the start of the month, we had a Ukrainian counteroffensive beginning in the south. Now, the Russians had occupied that in the first days of the war, and the Ukrainians took a bit of territory. More importantly, they destroyed a lot of the Russian military facilities, like air bases, ammunition depots, bridges. And we thought, okay, the big push would be there. But what happened is that 9 days ago, Ukraine suddenly attacked in the northeast. Now, the northeast is a very important area bordering Russia. It's called the Kharkiv region. And within 9 days, Ukraine has taken more than 8,000 square kilometers. That's getting on to almost 3,000 square miles of territory. That's 1/3 of the province of Kharkiv. And they have reached the border with Russia, and they have taken key Russian cities, not only that have been occupied during the war, but that were vital for Russia's own offensive in the east. So in effect, they have turned the tide in the northeast. So where are we now? Phase one of the war. Vladimir Putin failed to take Kiev, the capital. He failed to overthrow the Ukrainian government. And by April, his forces had withdrawn from the north. Phase two was that Russia began this offensive in the east. All right, we'll take this area called the Donbass, and Ukraine had to sort of hold out against that, as well as to try to hold out in the south. We are now in phase three, where it's Russia that is on the defensive.
Mm.
So it is not Russia that's looking to win in Ukraine. They're looking to avoid losing.
Can we just take a look at this meeting then that's gone on between the Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Chinese counterpart, President Xi Jinping? How much significance do you put on that?
It's an important meeting between Putin and Xi, but it did not show China's all-out support for Russia. And I need to emphasize that, because it's very easy to say, well, these two guys met. That's what called it is part of a meeting called the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. There were 15 heads of state there. They had photos. They both said they love each other very much and that they respect each other. You've got to dig down into the statements. First of all, look at Putin's statement. He said, oh, thank you, China, for your support of our balanced approach to Ukraine. But he also said that he recognized China's questions and concerns. Now, that's a tip-off that he knows that China is not all in with him. Even more important was the statement from Xi, or rather from the Chinese government on behalf of Xi. It mentioned Ukraine a total of 0 times. There was not one statement from Xi of supporting Ukraine. And in fact, what Xi said was, look, we really believe in sovereignty, and we really believe in territorial integrity, and we believe that that needs to be respected. In other words, that's China's own interest, because, of course, we're only a month away from China fronting up to the west over Taiwan, which is its concern. So boil this down, China is not going to go all in for Russia. It's going to defend its interest. If Russia was winning this war, then China would try to take advantage of it. But now that Russia is losing the war, China's going to try to take advantage by maintaining and even expanding its position in Asia at the expense of the Russians. So Anna, let me give you one tip off. And I know we're digging deep here, but this is really important. Before the meeting, Xi went and visited the president of Kazakhstan. Now, Kazakhstan is a really large country in between Russia and China and Asia. It had been very close to Russia. Indeed, early at the start of this year, in February, Russia sent in forces to prevent the Kazakh president, President Tokayev, from being overthrown by protest. But now here we are 7 months later, and she's going to the Kazakhs and going, we really believe in good relations with you. Why is that important? Because Kazakhstan has defied Moscow and refused to support the war in Ukraine. So what we're seeing is not China's all-out support for Russia, economic, military, or political, but China taking advantage of a weakened Russia to gain in Asia, especially if Russia continues to struggle in the war.
It's a very interesting situation. Just very briefly, Scott, do you feel that? Do you think that the Russian President Vladimir Putin is becoming increasingly isolated?
He's increasingly under Well, first of all, he's isolated internationally.
Mm.
Take a look at the countries that have provided military aid to Russia. I know of two, Iran and North Korea. That's who your friends are. Let's look at a couple of the other countries that have given loud statements of support. Syria and Belarus. They don't have much they can offer Putin economically. At home, he's under increasing pressure. Not under pressure that he is going to be overthrown. We need to emphasize that. But you now have the military analysts, what are called the mill bloggers in Russia, who are criticizing everyone up to Putin. They're criticizing the commanders. They're criticizing the defense minister. And what they're saying here is, look, we're losing this. I think the risk is not that Putin is going to be overthrown. I think he's under pressure from the military analyst to go all out. But all out with Russia is, what can you do if you're losing on the ground, and if in fact you don't have the air power to try to turn the balance of the war in the East?
Okay.
So I think Putin is isolated within his own country, even if he gets to remain in the Kremlin as an increasingly lonely man, finding out that his quest for glory is going to end into, well, a crumbling defeat.